Ristine, I just love the way that you have phrased this question. From a neuroscience perspective, how do we convince people to adopt better practices? I so love that question because I believe that the answer to making this world a better place is actually the answer to your question. We kind of believe that when we discover something new or something better, and we can just present it to people, that they will automatically go, wow, that's interesting. I think we should do it that way. So if I can just show you the facts, or I can put you on a training course, or I give you a certificate that you are now qualified to do it differently, or even just demonstrate it to you, people go like, that makes sense, let's go and do it. But that's not how the human mind works. I mean, if you think about it, on the 1st of January, you were standing there and you were thinking like, this is a new year, this is a new beginning. And you were standing with your bottle of, I don't know what you drink, champagne or milk, but you were standing with something there, and you had all the facts in front of you. You know exactly what you need to do to live a healthier, wealthier, better life. And normally on the 1st of January, we kind of get into the space of, okay, now I'm going to change it. I know what to do. I've got the facts. Let's go and change it. The average New Year's resolution lasts between 6 weeks and 2 months. After 2 months, it's gone. Why? I mean, you are presented with everything that's good. It will change your life. But if you understand the human brain, you will understand that change is the brain's biggest enemy, and that it is actually wired not to change. You used a very important word in that question of yours. You used the word convince. How do we convince people? Now, the word convince means to be certain, right? And it makes us think of the word conviction. Conviction is this idea of a strong belief. It is a truth. It is something that I am very certain about. And your question actually asks, how do we shift a person's conviction, their truth, their belief, so that they can adopt a new and a better way of doing something? What a fantastic question. There's something I quickly need to show you about your brain, about how your brain is wired. The human brain doesn't think in terms of good or bad. The whole idea of good or bad is stuff that we've created, right? It thinks in terms of, is it different? So what the brain does, it picks up what is consistently normal to me. Once I am used to the way milk tastes, my brain has a thinking pattern, a neural pathway connected to the taste of milk, all right? Now, my brain will allow for small differences. Different taste in warm milk than cold milk, that's okay. But as soon as my brain pick up a radical difference from what is normal, in this analogy it would be maybe the milk is off, it's sour, the brain picks up on the difference, and immediately what the brain does, it says, how do you get back to the norm? How do you get back to what's normal? Or let's say, for example, my norm is, I'm not the healthiest eater, I'm slightly chubby, and that's me, that my brain picked up that is my norm, all right? Now, what my brain will allow, sometimes I can eat a little bit healthier, and that's okay. I can maybe say, I think I should eat a little bit more salad, or maybe I can go and stop and get my McDonald's, all right? And that is okay. It's close enough to the norm. But as soon as my brain pick up a radical difference, for example, let's say I go and binge eat somewhere, my brain will kick in and it will say, you can't be there, that's not normal, and it will design ways to get me back to what's normal. I will feel guilty, I will feel shameful, I'll get stomach ache, My brain will say, I need to get you back to what's normal to you. But the same goes for the other side. Let's say I go and fast, I go into intermittent fasting as my new thing, and I go into that space, the brain goes, that's not normal. What is happening? And it will come up with a gazillion reasons why I cannot fast today, because it needs to get me back to what's normal. And this is the problem with when we take people and we send them on training and we do courses with them and we show them the facts. That's why our New Year's resolutions don't work, because your brain doesn't think in terms, is this good for you or is this bad for you? Your brain just thinks thinks, is this different from what is normal to me? And then it will start self-regulating to get you back to the norm, to what's normal. Now, why our brains are doing this, we don't know. I mean, there's a few theories out there, but one big theory is that we are social beings, and for us to be social, we need to be consistently us. There will be no way that a person can build a relationship with me if one day I live up there and then I'm down there and then I'm a ballerina and then I'm a fisherman and I chop and change personalities throughout the day. People will never be able to connect with me. And so the one theory holds that a big function of the brain, a big part of the brain, is to keep you, even if you are detrimental to itself, it doesn't care, but I just need to keep you, because then people can connect with you, and then we can live in a social environment, which, according to these theories, is what's needed for the survival of the human species. We need to connect with other people. I love this little video. Have a quick look.
If you've spent any time on Earth, you might have noticed that humans are not the most rational of creatures. We make decisions based mostly on emotions instead of facts, and a lot of times we're guided by tribal instinct. Part of the problem is that the human brain evolved to help us survive, and not necessarily to help us be factually accurate. So we often respond better to social and tribal dynamics than to intellectual analysis. For example, if someone's tribe believes that Obama is a secret Muslim born in Kenya, that person probably thinks the hard proof of his US birth certificate is fake. That conclusion is neither rational nor accurate. But from a tribal perspective, it makes sense. It's safer to agree with your tribe and stay united ideologically, even if you're wrong about the facts, than to disagree and isolate yourself. Another part of the problem is that our brain is constantly protecting our worldview and sense of identity. So when our worldview is challenged, that same part of the brain that processes physical danger gets activated. This is why people sometimes react so aggressively to information that proves them wrong. And this is why it's often so hard to have an intelligent political debate. Several studies have also shown that there is a backfire effect that happens when people encounter facts that contradict their current beliefs. They actually become more convinced of their original ideas. So fighting ignorance with facts is like fighting a grease fire with water. It seems like it should work, but it actually just makes the whole thing worse. Lastly, there's the problem of lack of empathy. Several studies have found that when humans are divided into groups of any kind, we instinctively become less empathetic to members of other groups. That means that for survival's sake, we might instinctively empathize less with other races, other nationalities, and even other sports teams. This instinctive dehumanization of other groups is what makes things like slavery and genocide possible in our society. So, what can you do? If you want someone to consider factual information that clashes with their beliefs, first, you have to prevent their brain from seeing you as a personal threat.
So how do we cause change then? How do we bypass this alarm going off in the brain that repels new and helpful information? Over the years, our focus has been to really understand collective thinking. And so we've been looking at culture. How do we shift a culture? How do you move a culture? People come to me and say, Kobus, can you change our team's performance or our company's performance or the community? Can we cause change in the community? Or how about the industry? And we believe the answer is yes, if you understand and work with culture. So let's quickly unpack culture. What is a culture? There's fancy definitions out there, but the one that I like to use is culture is the way we do things around here without even thinking about it. It's just the way we operate. There's a big word there that's very important. It's we. It's how we as our tribe, as our team, as our industry, as the company, it's how we operate naturally without any conscious thinking. It's just our norm. Now, the big problem with culture is we don't even know that we are in it. If you ask me, Kobus, what's your culture? I can throw out a few things that I've heard from other people, but it's just my normal, right? If you ask a fish, hey fish, what is it like to live in water? The fish is going to go like, I live in what? Like, I don't even know what water is. I've been born in this. I've been raised in this. This is just normal to me. It's only when we pull the fish out of water that the fish goes like, I need to go back. I need to go back. I need to go back to where I belong. And often when we take people, which is normal, they've got a norm of how they plant coffee, and they are a coffee farmer, and this is our industry, and this is our norm, and I pull you out, and I pull you into a world of, hey, look at this training. It's like pulling a fish out of water, and everything inside of that fish is, put me back in the water, just leave me alone, I'll give me my certificate so that I can go back and do what's normal to me. So what we've been doing over the years of research and understanding how the mind works is to really unpack what elements drive culture. So obviously the very first question is what is the thing that we want to see shift in the culture? What do we want them to adopt and make part of their culture, the way they do things without even thinking about it? Or what should be removed from the way they do things without even thinking about it? So that's the very first question. That is like, what is X that we want to achieve here? And so then immediately after that, the big question is what beliefs would need to be shifted? What beliefs, convictions, value systems would need to shift or be modified within this group of individuals that makes up the culture, that makes up the tribe, the industry, the team, the company? What needs to shift within their belief system? That becomes a big question. Then we start thinking about the practices, and we say, hey, so when we think about them and shifting their beliefs, how would they then need to apply that within their practices? Like, how would that shift in belief play out when we consider how they will then do things without even thinking about it? So a big focus on the practice side of it. But then the most important, and this is where people miss it, the most important is we identify people with moral authority. Now, this is very important. So let's just quickly unpack people with moral authority. People say, hey, are you talking about leaders? Not necessarily. I know a lot of leaders with zero moral authority. So moral authority means it is a person or a group of people that other people look at them and believe that they are making good and right decisions. All right? So it's a person with moral authority is someone that I look at, and when they say, hey, I'm going to do this, I go like, oh, I then probably should also do this, because if they are doing this, then I should do this. Very important. They are part of my tribe. That's why I follow them. They are part of what's normal to me. And because we recognize them for making good and right decisions, when they start doing it, it starts shifting our thinking like, wow, if they are doing it, we should probably do it as well. Those are people with moral authority. It doesn't mean that they always do the right thing, by the way. Hitler had a lot of moral authority. It's just that people believe that they are doing the good and right thing. So part of what we do when we think about culture shift, it doesn't help. I rock up in Uganda with my PhDs from wherever I come from. I'm not part of the tribe. I need to identify people that's part of the tribe. People with moral authority. And then it becomes vital that my energy goes into building relationship with those people. That we find some sort of commonality, some reason why we would become a tribe, or why we would become okay with each other. All right, so that will be a focus area. And then, this is vital. Then there's a process. We've got a fancy process called NLTD, is Neuro Leadership and Design Thinking, but there are many out there and you can design it yourself. But the idea is, how can we get that person with moral authority to not only buy in, to interact with it, look at it, see it, and shape this to fit the tribe? That's what you want, because now you have a person with moral authority, somebody that other people look at and go like, wow, man, we like the guy's thinking. And if we want to change the Ugandan coffee plant industry, it doesn't need to be a coffee farmer. It might be a pastor. It might be a chief of a village or something. It's just a person with moral authority. How do we get them to see the value, to buy in, and to shape our facts into a way that will really speak to the rest of the tribe? And so then we ask this person to start interacting with this practice, and in that way role model it to the individuals. And when the individuals see this person with moral authority doing it in a certain way, they have faith in him, they believe in him, what you then find is they start practicing it as well. And this is where you find the culture shift. So 3 vital parts to this. The individual's thinking need to shift. to fit the practices, but the practices would need to be modified, molded, changed through the eyes of a person with moral authority. And when you hit the sweet spot over there, oh man, you have shifted the culture. And this is the beautiful thing of a culture, is that even when the project is finished and we are long gone, people still continue to do the way they do things without even thinking about it. If you want to cause true impact in a society, in a community, in a team, in an industry, it's really about shifting the culture